At least one San Francisco 49er made the 2024 all-rookie team in the NFL. And what is going on with the San Francisco 49ers coordinator searches? Other teams moving, Niners are not. Why is that? Coming up on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you as always. Very special guest on this Wednesday episode. If you know, you know. We'll introduce our friend Nicholas Winkler for today's Winky Wednesday podcast momentarily. I do want to thank all the everydayers out there. Make sure you say hi. Let us know you stopped by. Hit the thumbs up. And if you're new to the show, welcome. Subscribe on YouTube or anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, just visit FanDuel.com to get started. And now, let's bring on today's guest.
Nicholas Winkler, come on down.
Can't believe it. Wow.
Wink, what's happening, my man? How was your offseason going so far? And how was your coordinator search going?
Well, it's funny you play that intro right there. Every 10 years, you're allowed to go back on the Price is Right. And my anniversary is coming up next year. So the wife and I are already starting to make plans for it. We're like, all right, we're going to go down. We'll make a weekend out of it. We'll go to a Friday taping and see if we can get on there again. So it's worth a shot. Just like bringing back Robert Saleh. Worth a shot, right?
Nicholas.
801.
801. Actual retail price. Oh, 810.
Oh man, dude, I want to. Yeah, I can't wait. Let's get this game show circuit back going for Nicholas Winkler. A little fortune, right, and a little price.
2000.
Both have new hosts since you went there, right? Don't they? Or
well, Wheel of Fortune's only one time. They say you can go on once in your life, but Price is Right. They say every decade you can come back and try again. So
okay, it's about that time. That time. Is your wife still rocking the shoes she got?
Yeah, oh yeah, they're Oscar de la Renta, so they're like you got to be going somewhere to put them on, right? And so yeah, we went to the Symphony last year. She strapped on one of them. That's when she wears them. She wears them when we go out. When I take her someplace nice.
Croc, you ever been on a televised game show?
Does me playing in football games?
I think so. I think it's better. I think that's higher. Yeah.
What's the price?
I played in some football games and they were televised.
And he got paid for it, so
true.
You win.
You got to show for it.
Yeah. I didn't always have the right answers though. So
yeah,
I didn't either, bud.
It's tough. You don't have to be 100%. You don't have to. You just got to be close. You got to be close without going over.
I didn't technically win any of those shows. I won some prizes. I won some money, but I failed at both of the final puzzle and Wheel of Fortune. And then I lost the showcase.
Showcase Showdown. That's a big win if you're on the Showcase Showdown, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really wanted that pontoon boat. I'm so sad I didn't win it. Wow. That's what the wow is from. Wow.
Time you want on your new electric party boat.
Wow.
There we go. Love it. All rookie team. San Francisco 49ers winning prizes. In the 2024 season. They had multiple players that could have won it. I put it on the screen here for the folks that are watching on YouTube and covered up both Croc and Wink's face. So you're welcome for that as well. 2024 Pro Football Writers of America all rookie team, and the 49ers did have one name in there, guard Dominic Puni, along with Jackson Powers Johnson of the Las Vegas Raiders. Second round pick were the guard submissions for the all rookie team in 2024. I'll go through the entire list and then we'll talk about what 49ers did and did not make the list. Jaden Daniels, he's going to be a rookie of the year on offense, quarterback for the Washington Commanders. The conference championship game as a rookie, just phenomenal what the Washington Commanders have done there to turn things around. Bucky Irving, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tyrone Tracy, New York Giants, made the running back list for the all-rookie team. Wide receivers.
I don't think I realized Tyrone Tracy was a rookie. I watched him throughout the year. He took over for Singletary at some point throughout the season. I did not realize he was a rookie. And he was someone who had like receiver background. He kind of was converted to a running back. at some point in his collegiate background. But I didn't realize he was a rookie.
I was a big fan of Tyrone Tracy in the draft. I thought, receiving style of back to give, them some insurance in the passing game out of the backfield if Christian McCaffrey was to get hurt. Some wisdom to that. I think Isaac Grendo was a similar type of player, wide receiver background. Tyrone Tracy, I believe, was the 5th round pick. He might have been the very next running back selected after Isaac Grendo in the draft last year.
That was my fantasy football backfield right there. Tyrone Tracy, Bucky Irving, all rookie.
See, I was too early on Tyrone Tracy because I had him on my roster and dropped him, and I still couldn't field a running back all season long in my fantasy leagues. And the guys that I even had as potential guys who just needed a starter to get hurt, the starters didn't get hurt until after I already dropped the backup.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Bucky Irving is someone who I had, and early on, it wasn't how it finished. So I ended up dropping him and letting him go. I ended up winning my fantasy league anyways, but
I did not.
I did not either. I do get Bucky Irving as a keeper next year in the 9th round, so I'm pretty stoked on that.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., the all rookie wide receivers. No shocker there. Both those guys were phenomenal. Brock Bowers, all rookie team.
Oh, both LSU guys.
That's right. LSU guys. They're just pumping out wide receivers left and right. I mean, half of the league is either Ohio State or LSU wide receivers. Ohio State's got another guy next year that people are calling the next Julio Jones. I mean,
no, he's a true freshman, so he's got to wait for a couple years.
Jeez.
Wow.
Jeremiah Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, as far as true freshmen go, probably the best true freshman I've ever seen. Now, there's some other freshmen that had huge years. Devontae Adams, he had an amazing. People don't realize that because he went to Fresno State.
Right.
You guys, if you have some time, go Google Devontae Adams. He played 2 years at Fresno State. Go Google his numbers.
Derek Carr.
It looks like video game stuff with him and Carr and what they did. I'm talking about, I think 1 year he had like 20 touch. I mean, just crazy numbers. 40 touchdowns in 2 years or something crazy like that. He had like a 1,700-yard season and like a 1,600-yard season. Just remarkable. Michael Crabtree, another one who had crazy video game number, 2-time Peacock award winner, only played 2 years at Texas Tech. But those guys weren't true freshmen like Jeremiah Smith, who, again, he looks like a man amongst boys. I did not realize he was 6'3", 6'4". He's like 215 pounds. When you watch him, he runs very well. Looks like one of the smaller guys. I think if he were able to go in this draft, he'll be the number 1 overall pick. I think he's that talented.
Wow.
Dang, not just the top receiver, the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Yeah. So that's something to look forward to. Future San Francisco 49er, Jeremiah Smith. Hopefully the Niners aren't drafting high enough to take him.
Right.
Brock Bowers, the tight end. He should be on this list. Should not have been the All-Pro. That should have gone to George Kittle. Jackson Powers-Johnson and Dominic Puni of the San Francisco 49ers. The guards for the all-rookie team at tackle, Joe Alt and Roger Rosengarten. And Rosengarten had some rough reps, got better as the year went along. He was the guy that reports say the Niners really liked. He went the pick before the Niners ended up trading one spot back with the Kansas City Chiefs at the end of round 2. They ended up with a pretty good player that probably deserves some consideration on this list in Renardo Green. The corners, though, for the all-rookie team were both Philadelphia Eagles, their first and second round picks, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, but they were both really good, so got no problems with those guys making the list. Defensive line, Broncos rusher Jonah Ellis, Braden Fisk of the Rams, and Latu Latu of the Indianapolis Colts, along with Tavondre Sweat. Big old defensive tackle for the Tennessee Titans. At linebacker, and this is kind of cheating because there's an extra edge guy on there, Jared Verse of the Los Angeles Rams on the list at linebacker. And we got to normalize calling the 3-4 defense a 5-2 defense because that's a defensive lineman right there. And Jared Verse, he's going to be defensive rookie of the year, I'm sure, this year. Edgerrin Cooper, really good player for the Green Bay Packers. And Chop Robinson, another edge guy for the Miami Dolphins. They're on the linebacker list. Only one true linebacker and 6 defensive linemen make the list of all rookie teams. So fudging the numbers there is the Pro Football Writers with Colin Chop Robinson and Jared Verse linebackers. And then at safety, Kalen Bullock of the Houston Texans and Evan Williams of the Green Bay Packers. I'm not going to talk about special teams because we're not going to spend any more time on this podcast talking about special teams until they hire a coordinator. That is your all-rookie team, 1 San Francisco 49er, third-round pick, guard Dominic Puni.
I don't know how teams can get away with calling someone a linebacker who's clearly not a linebacker. Like, he's an edge rusher. I don't care what you say. Like they did that with Aldon Smith a little bit too, and it's like these
Outside
guys,
linebacker.
they're not backers. They are, or if you want to just categorize guys as edge rushers and remove the end part, they're sneaking guys in for sure, being creative with how they do it. But I think that takes away from the guys who are truly linebackers,
right,
and playing off-ball backer. Now all of a sudden they get kind of pushed out of there.
Yeah, and make the Pro Football Writers have to actually choose instead of throwing 6 defensive linemen on the list. And by the way, you know what? I think the first thing that would signal to me that you are a linebacker is that you back the line. So line
you're
up
not on the line.
Then maybe you're a linebacker. Right? Can we start there, folks?
Makes a lot of sense. Too much sense.
I think it was Micah Parsons. He was truly both. Coming into his career as an NFL player, he was rushing the passer a lot, and he was an off-ball linebacker a lot as well. So that's a guy I could see making he could be first-team linebacker and first-team pass rusher or edge. Mm-hmm. But some of these other guys, it's like this guy, he's not a linebacker. Yeah. He's not an off-ball guy at all. Mm-hmm. He just, from time to time, may drop in the coverage. Like Aldon Smith was never a linebacker.
No,
but technically, because he played in the 3-4, it's like, well, he is like, no, he's a pass rusher.
I mean, Justin Smith dropped back every once in a while in pass coverage too, but you're never going to see him in the linebacker.
An inside linebacker.
There you go.
Next, let's talk coaching search. What's going on with the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator and special team search? Not a lot of urgency from Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch in their interviews. Do they already know something that we don't? Get into that next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. And while you're watching NFL playoffs, how about making some money on those games and especially give you a little extra skin in the game? Since your team's not in it, right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, that's $300 to keep the action going and continue to make more cash on. $300 extra to play with, all for just winning your first $5 bet at FanDuel. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps the game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings, whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs. FanDuel has you covered, and not just NFL. Tons of props for all the games that are upcoming for the rest of this season. NFL draft props, NBA, NHL, all of it you can find at FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sports book partner of the NFL. So as of now, Tuesday, some defensive coordinators flying off the board, and reports are that Dennis Allen, who's somebody that we had advocated that the 49ers at least talked to in an interview, a veteran defensive coordinator, well thought of around the NFL, formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals. He has now accepted the job to be defensive coordinator of the Indianapolis Colts. So he is off the board, although the 49ers, according to reports, unless there were some secret interviews going on, Niners never interviewed him anyway, so they weren't too worried about it. Dennis Allen looks like he is going to join Ben Johnson with the Chicago Bears as their defensive coordinator. Another name that a lot of 49ers fans liked and thought, yeah, here's an outside voice that maybe Kyle Shanahan should interview for defense coordinator. Never interviewed him to my knowledge, and now he's off the board. So still 3 names that have officially reportedly been interviewed. Maybe the 49ers got something else going on behind the scenes, back channels, and interviewing people that we don't know about. Robert Saleh, in-house, still don't know really what his role was or what his official title is currently, but Brandon Staley got interviewed for the job in-house, and then Deshae Townsend, who was the DB's coach, right? And assistant behind Aaron Glenn, who, by the way, Aaron Glenn of the Detroit Lions looks like he might be getting the New York Jets head coaching job. So Deshae Townsend might have the opportunity to just be elevated within the Detroit Lions organization. And I think one of the other assistants on defense for the Detroit Lions, let me double check, Terrell, is it, where is it? Maybe not. Maybe I did not save it. Oh, here we go. I did save it. It is Terrell Williams is potentially going to be the defensive coordinator for Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots, another Lions assistant. So it's Deshae Townsend, Robert Saleh, and Brandon Staley, the only names that have been reportedly or requested to be interviewed by the San Francisco 49ers for their defensive coordinator position. And Robert Saleh still has an interview, his second interview to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's not until Friday. So the Niners are just sitting here like completely confident and like done. Like their homework's done. They're looking at the clock, waiting for the bell to ring so they can, go to recess or whatever it is, go home for the day. They're done. It seems like, which makes me think either they know that Robert Saleh ain't getting one of these jobs, or they're completely confident that once Robert Saleh does get one of those jobs potentially, then they'll move to their in-house guy in Brandon Staley and elevate him. Wink, what are your thoughts on the 49ers defensive coordinator search right now? I'm a lack of urgency and just a lack of just talking to some folks. Like, even if you don't want to hire Lou Anarumo, he's a veteran guy, smart guy, been around the league a long time. Talk to the dude. Maybe you learn something.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that they want Robert Saleh. I think that's their number one option. I think fans out there would agree with that. They would want to bring this guy back because we all remember him running, screaming up and down the sidelines. Robert Saleh, leader of men. Like that's a guy you want inside your locker room. You want him leading your defense. If you can get him, you get him. So you give him the chance to go out and get these head coaching jobs. And if he doesn't get him, then you're like, come on. We got a nice soft landing spot for you right here. You'll get your same parking spot back. Like, you can have everything you used to have and more. Come on back. It's great here. And if they don't get it and he does go out and get a head coaching job, I think you're right. I think they feel perfectly fine with Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley's been a great defensive coordinator. So I feel like if he does take over as the 49ers defensive coordinator, they feel totally confident that maybe they've even told him, like, hey, if Saleh doesn't get this job, it's yours. So don't go anywhere. Stick around. We'll keep you in-house. Even if he does come on board, we still have something for you. Like, you're our guy, but you're kind of our backup guy. And so maybe he's okay with that. But I feel like the 49ers want Saleh. I want Saleh. I can't imagine why anybody would not want Saleh.
To me, it's Robert Saleh. It makes perfect sense. And obviously, he's a really good coordinator. I think he's a really good dude. I think the Niners need his energy on the sideline as well. I've talked about that a lot. Even as much as the X's and O's, they need some more energy on the sideline. Robert Saleh brings all of those things, well respected. If you're going to keep the same scheme, yes. But if you're not going to run that same stuff, I think you got to completely change it up, bring in an outside voice, someone who's been around a long time. Those guys are kind of off the board, though, now. I don't know who that would be. And I don't know if Brandon Staley's that guy, but Brandon Staley did kind of run that 3-4, 5-2 is like I like to call it. A little more multiple front. Would Brandon Staley actually bring more change, even though he's been in the organization? Is he maybe talking to Kyle and being like, hey, Kyle, I like this thing that you guys have built on defense, but you guys could probably do this and this. So one of the things, look, Kyle Shanahan's offense is not going to change that much, right? But like teams, this 7 years, 8 years in the NFL is an eternity. Like teams know what they're getting when they play against the 49ers. It's not hard to game plan. And there's been multiple coaches now that are around the league on the offensive side of the ball and now the defensive side of the ball as well that have game planned in the building with the 49ers. They know what they're trying to do. Like it's not a secret what the 49ers are trying to do on either side of the football. Maybe it should be more of a secret. Maybe they just need to change for the sake of everyone in the league not knowing exactly what they're trying to do for another year.
I like what the Cincinnati Bengals have done. They fired their defensive coordinator. They tried to figure out, all right, we need either a familiar face or someone who has went somewhere else and maybe got some different ideas. So they went and got Al Golden, who he actually previously coached with the Cincinnati Bengals. So they're familiar with him from that standpoint. But he's gone off to Notre Dame. He's coached a few years in the NFL, and he has an extensive coaching background. But between the Bengals, he coached for the Detroit Lions a little bit, and he's coached on both sides of the ball. And now all of a sudden, hey, he got to run the show at Notre Dame for the past 3 years. And now, okay, let me get back to the NFL. And I have, a different philosophy. I have maybe a change in certain things I would do, even since the last time I coached with the Cincinnati Bengals. I like the thoughts and ideas of something like that, where he was never the coordinator for Cincinnati, but understands how they like things done, will have his own thoughts on what he wants to do, and he's interviewing for them right now. So, and I think he's expected to be the guy that Cincinnati lands. So I kind of like that idea.
And guys, I've been knee deep in looking at prospects now and really diving into to draft season. There's a lot of these like hybrid really athletic speed type rushers that you're like, yeah, probably like them better in, as a stand-up rusher than just a full-time defensive end, quote unquote.
You wanted to call him a linebacker, huh? You probably like him better as a linebacker that rushes off the end in the 3-4.
They're edge rushers all day long, man. They could drop back occasionally. You could confuse the team you're playing against, but I think it's positionless football on offense right now is the rage in the NFL. You got to be a little bit more positionless on defense. I love what Steve Spagnuolo is doing. There's a lot of coaches around the league. We see it with Zach Bond and Vic Fangio and what his scheme is kind of looking like these days with the Philadelphia Eagles. Leo Chenal is one of those like rush linebacker types, the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a lot of teams around the NFL that have these guys that are even true linebackers off ball. They back the line, but they're also monster pass rushers. And you change the numbers up front and you don't know where the pressure is coming from. And when you bring a guy, you're not just blitzing any old linebacker. You're bringing someone who's actually a good pass rusher on top of it. So hybrid players playing against hybrid players. And so I like the idea of some of these really talented edge guys for the 49ers to potentially have a scheme that's so potentially stringent on the idea of like, not you're not flexible enough to be like there is a monster, like you're at pick 11 and the best player on the board and a guy who's going to be a monster pass rusher in the NFL doesn't fit your scheme. That might be a bad scheme, if that player doesn't fit for you. That's kind of the way I look at it, especially as I'm sort of diving in and looking at the draft class right now. I'm thinking, man, if one of these guys that could come off the edge and be, if Von Miller's there and you're like, he's too small, he doesn't fit our scheme, we don't want to draft him, then I think you got a problem.
Well, and I think that's a big reason why sometimes players don't work out in certain places, right? They're not able to tailor their scheme to fit a player better, but they want to force a player that clearly was better at doing something else and force that into their scheme. All of a sudden, the player ends up looking like a bust. I mean, we saw that with Hassan Reddick. Yep. How long did it take for Hassan Reddick to become the player that he is now, at least, viewed around the league as, oh, he's a terrific pass rusher, wrecked the 49ers Super Bowl chances a couple years ago, but he's a legit pass rusher who had double-digit sacks. Well, early on, the Cardinals, this is a tough thing with some of these guys that have some flexibility. It's almost like too much flexibility. So you start to try to do all these different things with him as opposed to be like, you know what? You actually do this thing at a very high level. Yeah. Let's lean on that a little bit more.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit more about this coordinator search and a couple of ideas about some wrinkles for the 49ers. It'll be really fun, I think, for 49ers fans. One, how about a London game next season? And for the offseason, how about maybe some hard knocks for the San Francisco 49ers? What are the odds there? Next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by Talkspace. Therapy is a game changer. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, communicate more effectively, but finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule can be a challenge. That's where Talkspace comes in. Talkspace, the leading virtual therapy provider, makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. With Talkspace, signing up is simple. You can match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within 48 hours, and it's convenient. You can have sessions from the comfort of your home and even message your therapist between appointments. Plus, Talkspace is covered by many insurance plans. It's pretty important. And for most insured members, there's $0 copay. It's never been easier to prioritize mental health, and mental health, yes, should be prioritized. As a listener of this podcast, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNFL and enter promo code SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNFL, enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show as well. That's Talkspace.com/LockedOnNFL, promo code SPACE80. So clearly Robert Saleh is the plan. Whether or not Kyle Shanahan kind of knows that he's not going to get one of these jobs, I don't know. He's got multiple interviews, multiple teams, maybe even ends up with the Las Vegas Raiders. Almost every single team tried to interview Robert Saleh for their head coach job. And I think, according to reports, Liam Cohen is the front runner for that job. And so we'll see if it even gets to Friday for that second interview with Robert Saleh and the Jacksonville Jaguars, or if they decide to go with the offensive side of the ball in Jacksonville and hire Liam Cohen. And then it sounds like potentially Robert Saleh would immediately be hired and well paid and compensated as defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. So that seems like plan number one. Plan number two, if let's say Saleh gets that job, I have questions about what plan number two is, and really just have questions about the overall plan of not talking to a lot of coaches. That's very strange to me. Even if
you have the option to talk to whoever you want.
Yeah,
that's the weird thing, and it's almost like, let's say you're a man, right, and you have this idea of like the perfect woman in your head, and it's like, man, she's got to be 5'8", and she got to be blonde hair, and every time you put like this other prerequisite on like what exactly you're looking for this perfect woman, you're limiting some other people that could be really good. You can have a really amazing relationship, but because you've made it to where nope, can't have this, not tall enough here, you limit a lot of really good potential people that could do the job at a high level. And it almost feels like the 49ers do that. They're looking for something that's so specific, as opposed to someone who is just a pretty damn good football coach and respected around the league and comes with a terrific scheme and he gets buy-in from the players, and just go find that guy. Like, and it seems like, nah, we don't want that guy. We want the 5'9", blonde hair. It's like, all right.
Yeah. And then
their
ahead,
search
Mike.
might get smaller soon too, right? Because teams like the Lions are going to just lost their offensive coordinator. They're probably going to lose their defensive coordinator as well. So they're going to be out there looking for guys too to fill this void. And 49ers haven't even really brought anybody else in. It's like, what are you doing, guys? But it's really funny that we're talking about all this, because it's my brother, the big Lions fan, he was like, man, this is our year. I was like, well, it better be your year, because you're about to experience what the 49ers have gone through over the past 4 or 5 years, where you have success. All of a sudden, your coaching staff gets raided by other teams. Like your cabinet gets picked bare, and that's about to happen to you guys. And we're seeing it happen already to them. So it's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, brain drain is real. And we saw with the Philadelphia Eagles, they hired new offensive and defensive coordinators. And like, whoops, that didn't work. Let's do it again. They got a whole new group of offensive and defensive coordinators looking a lot better now this year for the Philadelphia Eagles. So they had to go through a whole iteration of that and then had to redo again on both sides for those play callers. Now the Lions looking for play callers on both sides of the ball. And so it's really important. And to go down that road a little bit further, Croc, and I kind of like that one, because you don't want to end up like 55 and single, and you never married anybody because you were looking for this one specific thing in your 20s and you never found it. And secondly, you're going to marry your cousin like a little bit too close to the family, potentially, where the 49ers dating pool is as well, right? Maybe go outside the family a little bit with your coaching search. But no, I have some questions, but clearly, to me, the only rational explanation to all of this right now is that the 49ers either A, think Robert Saleh is not going to get one of those jobs, and B, if he does, they're for sure just ready to give the job to Brandon Staley. What else? What else?
Like you said, there could be some secret candidate we haven't heard about, right? That they've interviewed, and because they've been really good with that. Since John Lynch has taken over this football team as general manager, they've been really good at keeping things hush hush and quiet and in house. So maybe there is some candidate we don't know anything about that when Robert Saleh gets hired as head coach, they're like, this was our guy all along. Got you,
right. Was somebody not released from their job quite yet, so they couldn't interview him until Wednesday or something like that. We'll see.
It seems like a lot of settling, right? It doesn't feel like, hey, we interviewed this person. We really like these people, but we do, this first person has the first crack at it. Like,
I think they really want Saleh.
From Robert Saleh to Brandon Staley, it feels like you're settling for Brandon Staley. I actually posted today that I'm looking for a special teams coordinator, for my high school football team. And shout out to my guy, Greg Pinelli. He said, Brandon Staley may need a job. He can come help you assist or something like that. Like that's how the 49er fans feel about Brandon Staley. Like, dude, go be a high school football coach.
I don't think that, especially the scenario, and Mike Silver reported that Nick Sorensen's probably not going to get the special teams coordinator job, but what if they just didn't add another person and it was just Brandon Staley gets promoted to DC and then Sorensen goes from defense coordinator to special teams coordinator? That'd probably be the worst case scenario for most 49ers fans, and it could work out great. Who knows? But it's hard to see the plan right now, and maybe there's just some other stuff going on that we don't know about behind the scenes. And then when we find out, we'll report it and we'll talk about it. But long lists from other teams. And the big thing too is like Kyle Shanahan talked about, is like, well, we fired Nick Sorensen essentially because this is a much better hiring period for defense coordinators than it's been the last couple of years. But then they didn't interview anybody. So like, what's the point? So it sounds like solid or nothing. So we'll find out what goes on there with the 49ers. A quick note. I want to go back a couple of years to an interview with John Lynch, and he was asked about Hard Knocks. And the question was, would you ever want to be on Hard Knocks? And he said, quote, never. Would never want to be on Hard Knocks. And that's why it pays to be a playoff team. And we plan on being in the playoffs every single year. Well, they're not in the playoffs this year. So can the 49ers push back enough to just not be on it? Or at this point, would the NFL be like, all right, you had opportunities. You got no shit. You are on Hard Knocks. The camera crews will be there on blank date. Like, I don't know if the league can do that or not, or if the Niners can be like, no, we don't want it. And the league's like, okay, let's go do whatever team. Again, they've already done multiple teams, like multiple times. I'm sure the league wants a team like a marquee franchise like the San Francisco 49ers. I wonder if the league would be like, you're on Hard Knocks this year. Because they're not a playoff team. So they can't technically, I think, say no. But I think you can really push back still.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the NFL could just say, hey, you're it. I think they can just go in there. You didn't make the playoffs. Sorry. Here comes Hard Knocks. Be ready.
I don't know why NFL teams feel like they have to be so secretive about everything. Like, dude, get on the damn show. It's fun for the fans to watch their team do something. It's almost, again, reminds me of these high school kids now, right? They have these Instagram pages and they have no pictures on Instagram. So like for us, and I guess our generation that's on social media at all, you got some pictures of the family, you may have some pictures of at your job or, just some random stuff. But with these kids who they play football, half the time you would never know that they were athletes. And I try to tell them, like, dude, look at what the actual professional athletes are doing, and they're marketing themselves, right? Mm-hmm. They're marketing themselves and they're making themselves appealing to people, to brands, to all those things. You guys need to 49ers. Hey, let's market ourselves a little bit. This was a bad year. There was a lot of negative things surrounding the 49ers. Let's go out there. Let's get on TV. Let's get on HBO and let's put out some positive vibes. Let's put out, hey man, we're all in on Brock, and have when the day he signs the deal, that whole thing is documented, right? And the fans get really about seeing what went into it. Let's see Ricky Pearsall, working in the offseason. Hey, it's my first real offseason. I got shot last offseason. People didn't really get to see me. My shoulder was unhealthy, but now I got a real offseason. And get
a lot of great stories
about that. Brandon Ayuk, what's going on with his recovery? Let's get an inside look on that, right? Like, let's get some positive vibes. And the way to get those positive vibes, get your ass on Hard Knocks. And I think a lot of fans would really like that. And it would benefit the organization so much, because if you're not on there for the next however long, it's just going to be a lot about everything that has gone bad. Throughout,
left a bad taste in your mouth, right? And what a great way to clear that out. I love everything you just said, Croc. You sold me. I'm in 100%. Let's go.
And really, they just don't want to open themselves up to any criticism. And there was the giant stuff about Saquon and Daniel Jones and some of that stuff. And we're not great decision makers there, guys. And so they probably don't want to open themselves up to that. But I think right now you want to give your fans something, and this would be a perfect opportunity to do that. Not being a playoff team, and you didn't earn the right to say no like you had in years past. So we'll see, but I think it's interesting. The league would probably really love for the 49ers to be the Hard Knocks team, and obviously for us it'd be awesome to absolutely see what's going on behind the scenes in a lot of ways. Last quick note here, this one from Matt Mayoko. The San Francisco 49ers potentially could have a London game in 2025 because the Cleveland Browns announced that they will give up a home game to play in London this season. The 49ers have one of their road games on the Browns' home schedule for 2025. So there you go. Maybe Hard Knocks and a London game in the future for the San Francisco 49ers. I'd be all for it.
I'm in.
Are we going to London, guys?
Yeah. Let's go. Start planning our trip now.
Come on. Hard Knocks. You get to see how defensive coordinator Brandon Staley puts his game plan together. You go to the London game, get to watch a special teams coordinator, Nick Sorensen, how he coaches up Jake Moody after a
new place kicker. Place kicker.
Moody would actually here's the thing. I like what you just said about I like what you said about Brandon Staley, right? We all have this perception of Brandon Staley and what he is. And going back, a year or so, and we got to watch quarterback, and there was Kirk Cousins, Marcus Mariota, and Mahomes. And I just remember watching that. Whatever I thought of Kirk Cousins, okay, good quarterback. I started rooting for him because of the person that he was, right? Like, just man, that is a good man. I'm a fan now of Kirk Cousins or Patrick Mahomes. He's the villain now, right? And I remember watching that and just seeing how he prepares, how he goes about being a professional, insight on his family and stuff. And I'm like, I'm kind of rooting for Patrick Mahomes, even though I don't want to, even though I know how this season ends with the 49ers losing in the Super Bowl to Patrick Mahomes, right? Maybe Hard Knocks could be good for a guy like Staley, where the 49er fans are like, anyone but him. And really, we don't quite know why we feel that way. Wasn't great with the Chargers. Maybe he took a step back and wasn't all in on the defensive side of the ball. Same thing come to the 49ers. He was more kind of an advisory role. But maybe you get to just kind of see him interact with people, interact with his family. And something like Hard Knocks can just kind of get you behind, because all of a sudden, a guy who we don't want to see on the 49er staff, and all of a sudden it's like, man, it's a good guy. Yeah, I think this could work. Just bring some positivity and some positive vibes to what was a really negative season, and what seems to be kind of a rocky start to the offseason as well.
Yeah, be confident that you're going to show us how smart you are behind the scenes and not the other way around.
There you go.
I would be all for it. Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Wink, for another successful Winky Wednesday. Appreciate all the listeners, all the everydayers out there. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts. Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.
The water anytime you want on your new electric party boat.
Wow.
This 16-foot